All right, this is No Excuses. I'm your host, RJ Roger, and I'm here with the man of the moment, the last capo, I like to refer to him as, Michael D. Leonardo. Michael, how are you?
Very good. I had a couple of martinis, so maybe you get a kick out of me tonight.
Uh,
Last capo, I don't know. There's a
I-
lot of last capos, but
that's how we met.
I appreciate the compliment.
That's how we met. I made that video of you, the last capo video. So in
That's
my
true.
mind, you're always the last capo.
Thank you.
You come from the end of the major era. Um, anyway, so I was watching some old videos today. I always on my lunch break at work, whenever I'm free, I always look back at I'm always researching and looking at stuff. And I came across this kind of a very insightful line. I was listening to Sammy. He was talking about an infraction he had that, and he went home to his wife, and he said to his wife, he said, um, tell me exactly what was said. This is back when he was in the Colombo family. He said, tell me exactly, word for word, what was said, because this life is so technical. And it really made me think about this world that you guys come from, this very regimented, very technical world. Um, and then it made me think of you because I talk to you a lot, and now your life's completely different than the life that you were born into and the life that you were in for a long time. So, my question for you: how does a guy like Sammy or yourself or any guy who used to be in this life, so a guy like you go from being this powerhouse capo where everybody knows who you are, you're respected, you walk into a restaurant, tables already reserved for you. Anywhere you go, you get the red carpet treatment. Everybody treats you well, treats you good every day. No one disrespects you. There's a code to how you conduct yourself, to how people interact. You're in this technical work, this very technical life where, you know, the way you communicate is very important. How you communicate, how you treat people. Um, and when you're in that life for 40 years, 50 years, and then all of a sudden you're in this new world where people don't know you. You're grocery shopping and no one knows you. You're walking around and no one knows you. How does a guy like yourself in your old world, there's a practice for if someone disrespects you, if they hit you, if they upset you. What's the transition like being in this new world and somebody pisses you off, somebody challenges you, someone does, you're facing all the same things, but you don't have the world that you're groomed and accustomed to. Do you understand what I'm trying to ask you?
Oh yeah, I got you. Well, I can make a parallel even when in that life, because let me just preface this. And part of an argument that I would make or have at different times for somebody that's a wise guy or greater, captain, boss, whatever, we don't walk around with signs on our chest saying, I'm a wise guy, hands off, or yield sign, go the other way. And it translates into this life, but let me just jump back if I can into the other life. You know, growing up, I used my hands a lot. I had a lot of fights. And before getting straightened out, I was told to stop it with my hands. It would look bad if I got in a beef when I was on the list and coming up, you get knocked off the list for using your hands a lot. And I would say to myself, um, don't wise guys out there ever have beefs like me? And I would say, nobody tells anybody to go fuck themselves. Nobody pushes up on their space. It's like what I'm trying to say is now and then. You have to be the man you were then, now. Now, I don't have that sign, former ex-capo in the Gambino family on me, like I didn't have a capo or soldier or associate at that time, hands off. You have to conduct yourself a certain way. And if society or a citizen or somebody brings grief to you, I expect you to act the same way as you did before. The only problem is now is like I was on bail for X amount of years. after after I got out of prison. The government kept me on bail, 2 feet in one shoe mentality, I guess, because I had a lot of trials, to my chagrin. But you still know that you can be in serious trouble. And it has happened to me. And I know a lot of guys that I've spoken with that have cooperated, that they had to put your hand in your mouth and bite it, because once you get in trouble, and if let's say you use lash out, somebody comes off you the wrong way, and you get into a fight, they're calling the cops. We're not, even though we flipped. We're the same people. We have the same metal, hopefully. Guys flip for whatever reasons. Again, that's theirs. But these were street guys. They were criminals mostly their whole lives. So society and these pure citizens, supposedly, quote unquote, still have issues. And with those issues, you have altercations. You can have different opinions, whether somebody, road rage, somebody jump you on the grocery line. And, I used the line many times, when people jump in front of you, like, you dress with sneakers and dungarees and a football shirt, like I used to do years ago. I still do it now. And I would tell somebody, hey, this guy stinks. What'd I do? Use your invisible soap today? You didn't see me standing there? And at least the arguments at times. So, when you're on bail, you got to be extra cautious, because you got to go for a judge one day. So you have to, again, I use the word, you got to eat a lot. You get used to swallowing your pride, that you have to bypass that. Now, if I take a fingerprint, or anybody in my situation, new name or not, once you take that print, it ain't coming back to the new name they gave you. It's going back to your old name. You walk into a precinct or a sheriff's office or wherever you are in the country, whatever they want to call these departments, and get printed, the alarms are going off. Now you got the United States government, FBI, prosecutors, everybody involved. So you're still the same person, but you got to learn how to bite that hand and walk away at times. Where before, I was punching you in the face. No, really. I mean, I don't want to come off as but that's the way I was. Even as a captain, I was fighting with people. They didn't know me. And for me to walk in and think I'm the toughest guy in the room because I know I'm a captain again, family, and that stranger who doesn't know me, who I am, if we get into a beef, is supposed to like have an intuition. Oh, let me watch this guy, maybe in the Mafia. No, we fought. I got my ass kicked as a captain several times. No embarrassment. People went in, as soon as they found out who I was, they ran. They went on a limb. Well, they ran to get saved. And my argument at that time was, I didn't have a sign. They want to go to the park right now? I fight them again. No, you can't do that, Michael. Pete Gotti told me one time, he was the boss. Mike, you can't fight him. What do you mean? I don't give a fuck. Put it on the side. I'll fight him in the park right now. Won't mean anything. It's a true story. No bullshit. Doesn't make me tougher than anybody else. Growing up, I got many beatings. You're not a man till you get a beating. You know what I mean? That's just life growing up. You learn how to behave yourself and be respectful. And if a fight comes your way, as long as you fight. So now you take that into the new life, your question, right? You still have to be that way. Are you going to keep swallowing your pride? You have to sometimes. Because is it worth that fight? Is it worth the exposure for a guy that you don't know saying in a road rage, giving you the finger, fuck you? Years ago, I pulled up the guy, got out of the car, I was rolling on the ground. It didn't matter. But today, we're still the same people, just that we're a little older and we have a lot more to lose right now. So a lot of times you have to eat that. Sure. I know guys who swung it out with guys after they flipped. And, luckily they didn't get in trouble. The guys didn't press charges or whatever. But you're still the same person. Just because there's guys out there that are murderers that flipped. Many guys have a lot of bodies. And it doesn't make them punks because they flipped. It was, I'll refer back to me. What I did, like I said, was a punk act, flipping. But I'm still the same guy. You ain't putting your hands on me. Give me the beating. I'm going to take it. I'm still going to fight. But again, you got to know what's going to happen if you get into the sheriff's office or police department. So it's a risk reward, I guess, at times, is
Yeah.
what you want to do. But we're still the same people, ratting, flipping. Again, use any term you like. They're still criminal. We were still criminals our whole life. Most of the people that do this. So it is very hard. You got to eat a lot more. You got to bury a lot more. Have more tolerance to other people, which is, living on this side of the life. I find people super disrespectful on a whole.
That's what I'm trying to ask you. That's what I want to get to. Your world has the Cosa Nostra world is a world that has protocols. It has training, conduct, and everybody you're around. You're living every day in Cosa Nostra around killers. You're around John. You worked for John Gotti. You worked for Sammy the Bull. You worked with people who were some of the most feared people in the country. And you can crack a joke with them, have fun with them, but they're probably more measured, I'd imagine, than some of these people you walk into at the grocery store. You bump into John Gotti, I mean, he's not just he has protocol training inside of him. The guy in the grocery store just flick you off, fuck you, who the fuck you think you are?
Right.
Because he don't have, and that's what I always wonder. It must be so hard for a guy like you to make that kind of, or people like all of anyone who comes from that world, to make that transition where even Roy DeMeo isn't going to just fly off the hinges and say, fuck you, motherfucker, to a guy like yourself. But a guy who pushing a grocery cart will say it to you. And you can mop the floor with this guy.
No, even if I can't mop the floor, I'll take the beating. I want to get one punch in. Give me one good one. Or let me be able to bite him if I want. I could get my ass kicked again. Like I said, I got used to when I growing up. I got used to get my ass kicked. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was as long as you fought. But I'll give you, you just knock some rust off. I like to say that is my son, my youngest son. He was playing baseball, and he was just starting to learn, and probably about 10 years old, 11 years oldish. And usually they play an inning, 2-3 innings. They do a 6 or 7 inning game, whatever they play, wherever you are in the league. And he wasn't playing my son. Now, I'm a passionate baseball player, and you live vicariously sometimes through your children. Hope they like what you like, and sometimes it's just not that way. My son's an intellect. This kid. He wasn't into sports at the time. Later on, he became into sports. But anyway, the coach, I went to talk to the coach, and I got my finger operated on. It was in like a little brace or whatever. And I went up to him, and I said, "What happened? Why aren't you playing my son?" He says, "Your son stinks." What? He says, "Your son ain't good enough, and you're not going to play. You're going to hurt that kid's feelings." So we got into an argument. And I wanted to just go over into the dugout, pick up the Louisville Slugger, and split his head open. My wife was there, the kids there, parents were all over. You go to baseball games in the South, there's 50, 60 people on the sidelines, watching these games. And you got to eat it and walk away. Your son stinks. That's a coach. That's supposed to be a citizen, helping kids, promoting kids. And I'm supposed to be the bad guy talking like that, right? We're supposed to be the bad guys, but we're not that way. I would never tell somebody's son they stink, or parent that their kid stinks. You know what I mean? I would have handled a little bit different. I coached baseball. I was 17 years old. I coached baseball. 17. I was still playing baseball. I was coaching teams at 17. I would never do that to a kid. But your question is, you're dealing with society outside of our own society where we have protocols. Yeah. Now, what's a better society? The ones where we have checks and balances. A lot of guys that were made, or a lot of guys that were important in that life, they walk into a restaurant and they were shown deference. And what I mean by that, those people, those waiters, waitresses, owners, bartenders, bar bats, did they like that person for who they really were? Or did they respect them for what they were? There's a difference. So, but the respect was there not to cross the line. Now we're coming in there, we're spending money. Usually wise guys spend a lot of money in places and we bring people. So the thing is, you're going to get those courtesies because they know who and what you represent or are. In the real world, different. You're in that lake swimming, you know, and you know, and you know, there's a lot of big fish in the lake. Some lakes, you know, and
Yeah.
they're going to be as tough as you or as don't care. They don't care who you are. You're just a guy or a person. I see
Yeah.
it many times. You know, I taught my son from Anthony and Michael from little boys. You hold the door for a woman. As soon as they're able to, 5 years old, kindergarten, they were holding doors for teachers and other kids. So, you know, that's now schooling. You get outside of that and you get in the real world, you know, you got people that I really can't believe how disrespectful people are. New Yorkers get a bad rap. And I tell them, well, I'm from New York. You guys are more rude than us.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's very hard to navigate in this world. Where world I grew up in, like you said, with a lot of protocols in a neighborhood that in Brooklyn, my family was there from the teens, the 19 teens in that neighborhood. Everybody knew me. Everybody knew protocols. You knew who everybody was. You got away with a lot. Going back to what I said, when I was told, don't use your hands, I got to stop using your hands. I say, don't these wise guys nobody ever tells them to go fuck themselves? Nobody abuses them. I never hear anybody get in a fight except for me. A few other guys, I got some funny stories I can tell in the future, but you wouldn't hear it for them with citizens. I have black eyes. I'll send a picture over. I got a black eye, you know. So yes, you got to be the same person. It's just how you deal with after cooperation because you have a lot more to lose, and the smarter guys will pass on not giving you a finger, or the guy that thinks you have invisible soap on that day. So.
Yeah, so then that's why I asked you that question, because there's little things that you do that I don't even think that you're aware of. I've been out with you many times. If appetizers come to the table, you serve everybody first, you serve yourself last. When we're drinking champagne, I watched you do this many times. You fill up everybody's glass, you fill up yours last. I've never saw you. You always walk out the door last. You always say, "Go ahead, go ahead." You always let everybody walk before you. You hold the door. You go last. Um, I used to one of the most eye-popping things, because I feel like the everyday world, there's just no accountability. People are so goddamn disrespectful. People are so rude. People have this like no manners in society anymore. People don't meet their obligations. It literally drives me crazy. But I noticed when I first met you, I might talk to you in the morning. Then you'll say, "Hey, RJ, I'll give you a call. I get off of work, I'll take a shower, call you around 3." If you told me you're going to call me at 3 and something was busy, you would send me a text at 2:59. RJ, I'm running behind. I'm going to get to you. I'll call you tonight, or I'll call you in an hour. Or you'll just call, "Hey, RJ, I'm a little busy. I'm going to give you a call in a couple hours." If you said I'm going to call you at 8 o'clock, I'll call you tonight, and you were getting tired of watching the Yankees game, you never would just go to bed and be like, "Fuck RJ, I told him I was going to call." You would always say, but every time, anytime you said I'm going to call you at this time, you always do it. Tonight, we had a schedule for 7. You called me at 6:30 to, I guess, maybe to tell me something, but then your phone cut off and your battery died, but you called. You know, that ain't how a lot of people are. There's no protocol. So I always wonder, how does a structured guy that comes from protocol, manners, respect, now leave that world and go in and deal with these fucking people that we deal with in everyday society? So I just wanted to ask you that.
Well, interesting. You know, it started in my home as a kid. It started with mentors.
Yeah.
And just go back to the 5 families and whatever people in the street. If you get a bad teacher, you know that branch is like a tree, right? You get a bad branch, it's going to go crooked. If you
Yeah.
just, you know, that's just the way it is. And if you get a good teacher who will hold you rigidly, you live your life not only in the mob, you live your life in society that way.
Yeah.
And, what's wrong with holding somebody's door? What's wrong with me eating last? What's wrong with me showing somebody else a courtesy? Isn't that what it's about? The people, if you're going to sit down and eat dinner with somebody, right? They should be close enough to you that you're sitting down eating dinner with. So why wouldn't you show them the courtesies? I'm not more important. When I was a skipper, I did the same thing. It's just the way I was taught my whole life. Everybody goes first. And I'm not the only one. I've learned that from people. And when I was in the street, there was a lot of people like that. And John was one of them. If John ate a steak, everybody had to have that steak, even when he was in prison. It was a Salisbury steak, chopped meat, right? Everybody ate Salisbury, or nobody ate it. Again, this is not a John Gotti glorified story, but this is how certain people are structured.
Yeah.
You could be a murderer, but everybody's going to eat the same, or nobody eats it at all. So, this I don't say it's the right way, but that's my way. That's the way I see it. I respect it that way. Why should I eat, a steak and you're gonna eat a hamburger? That's not fair. What kind of guy am I?
Oh. There's this video I saw. It's funny you mentioned John. John was that way. I saw a video. John Jr. he was getting arrested. So taking him out of his house he's handcuffed. And there's a step in front of him that he knows, hey, you can fall right here. It was a female officer or someone.
Yeah.
And he says, with handcuffs on behind his back, hey, watch your step. Tells her she's arresting the guy. He tells her to watch her step.
After many cases.
There you go. So, stuff like that. See, I pay attention to little small things like that. I think that tells something about a person's psyche, a person's psychology. That's just how I look at it.
Look, they had a job, just to allude to that. They had a job. We were criminals. They were supposed to arrest FBI cops. They're supposed to arrest criminals. It's what it is. If he did that was instinct. If John Jr. said that, I know what you're talking about. I remember the film, but I don't remember that statement. Saying that. They didn't show that to me. I didn't see it. But if he said that, that's just him coming out.
Yeah.
That's just natural.
Yeah.
Somebody else would say, I hope they crack their teeth on the floor. You know what I mean? Which, you guys arrested, you may get life in prison. You don't even know why you're. I hope this motherfucker falls on the floor, cracks his face. But it's just instinct. When you have built a certain way, it just comes out.
Yeah.
And it's hard navigating the quote unquote legitimate world because there is definitely a lot of rudeness where we had a set of rules, especially when everybody knew who each other were. When I was an associate, me and all my guys, we go out to different clubs. And we had a lot of guys, and we had a lot of fun. And we, all single at the time. And we go to bars, and at the time they used to buy you a drink. And if they bought you a drink, no matter what you're drinking, they gave you a shot glass this big, right? There was nights I just spent 5 cents. I had a pyramid. Me and my friend, a pyramid. It was a joke. You couldn't drink. We were already drunk. You couldn't drink all those drinks. We would cash them in like this. Could we cash these in the next week? So the courtesies were there, even as an associate, that's the way we would extend to each other. I'm not saying this is Xanadu. Everybody loved each other, but there was that showing of respect for guys who were associates, to skippers, and above. That was our world.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not making it glorify. A lot of guys hated a lot of guys. A lot of bad stuff went on at times. But the guys that did respect the life, like I said, for myself, from associate to a captain in the family and handling certain other families and doing all that stuff, I respect. I don't care what family you're in. I don't care if you were out of the country. If I knew you were making Austria, you were my brother. You got to show me you're not my brother for me to not respect you or not give you those courtesies. But until then, I'm going to give you the same courtesies as if we're together every day. So it is a tough life after starting anew.
Yeah.
You have to, I built up a reputation through my lineage in my neighborhood that's been there since the 19 teens. It was a lot easier. Going out in this new world for me was difficult. It was difficult because everybody thinks everybody else is a sucker. It's like trying to talk to a salesman. They think you're Frank Sucker. Me and salesmen do not get along.
Me neither, brother. Me neither.
My wife, every time I go buy a car, I go, no way, she's coming. No way. She knows what's coming. So, because they think you're a sucker. You know what I mean? And I don't like that.
Yeah, I get you.
But that's the brave new world, or not new world, old world, I should say, that's been in effect, where human beings try to take advantage of other human beings, and the common courtesies on a whole, I'm not going to say everybody, on a whole, are not there. It's inconsiderate, especially today in the me generation, the me stage. It's like they're in another planet.
Yeah.
It's not there. What about giving somebody a compliment, RJ? Could you give a woman or a woman give a guy a compliment on their shoes? You may get arrested today. You can't even be nice if you wanted to. You know what I mean?
Holding a door now is saying, who do you think you are? Are you better than me?
Yeah. What are you saying? I can't hold that door? You're right. You're right. We could go on and on with this. But it's difficult. And I get enjoyment out of it at times because I'm pretty witty and I like to come back and make some snide remarks at times.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of it now. I'm 67 and I still can take a good beating.
I'm going to switch gears with you.
Go ahead.
Now, I read this book and it made me think, the title made me think of you with all these conversations that we had.
Uh-oh.
So this book,
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Gianni Russo, Hollywood Godfather. Now, before you talk,